The Indianapolis Colts just had a really big problem take shape. Their quarterback, Carson Wentz, got hurt. He had a foot injury. A piece of bone came loose in his left foot. Doctors say it's likely that injury can be traced all the way back to high school when it seems like he broke his foot a long time ago, didn't realize it, never really got fully treated and healed the right way. So Carson Wentz had foot surgery to solve that problem. Now he's going to miss 5 to 8 weeks, and he's not going to come back week 12. It's 5 weeks from this point now. We're a month away from the regular season starting. But by the way, I got to say, 5 to 12 weeks is a wildly large window of time. So he could be out for a long, long, long time. 2 months, 3 months. That's how many, 12 weeks is 3 months. I don't think there's a ton to be said here, although every time I do say that, I end up talking for like 20 minutes, so we'll see. First of all, it's devastating for the Colts. The next man up at quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts is second-year quarterback Jacob Eason. He went to college at Georgia, then he transferred and finished his career at the University of Washington. He's talented. He's a very, very talented quarterback. He's also young. He's also raw. But he does have a good coach helping him, Frank Reich. And it's kind of an exciting opportunity. Carson Wentz has been hurt so many times. And what if Jacob Eason does amazing? What if Jacob Eason pulls a surprise Dak Prescott moment? And, the Colts have a great roster. They run the ball well. They got a good coach, good defense. Maybe they can win some games with a young quarterback. That's the thing possible, right? Here's the problem. The Colts have a brutal first 5 games of the year. It's likely they play 5 playoff teams in a row to start the year. Week 1, Jacob Eason plays his childhood hometown team in Indianapolis. They play Seattle week 1. Week 2, the Colts play the Rams. Again, in Indianapolis, but it's arguably the best defense in the NFL last year. After week 2, you can start 0-2 already. You lose to Seattle with a second-year quarterback who's never played before. You lose to the Rams. Then you have 3 really tough road games. At Tennessee, remember they upgraded their team a lot. Added Julio Jones. They've got a decent defense, a really good passing game now, and an amazing running back. Then you play at Miami, a great defense. If I have a young quarterback, I'm terrified to play Miami on the road with a guy who's not started any games in the NFL before. Then you play at Baltimore against Lamar Jackson. Suddenly, I cannot wait to see how Jacob Eason does in the preseason. I want to watch that so badly. How does he do? He needs to develop very, very quickly because Seattle, LA, the Rams, Tennessee, Miami, Baltimore, those are 5 really good teams. You do not want to start 0-5 if you're the Colts. That is devastating. Now, it's possible the Colts could trade for a quarterback. They need to find an answer to start week 1 because it looks like Carson Wentz is going to be hurt. And you cannot afford to start the year 0-5 or worse. Week 6, they play Houston. That feels like a give-me win. But is it a gimme? I don't know. I don't know because Jacob Eason is an unknown. By the way, also, star offensive guard Quentin Nelson had a similar foot injury to Carson Wentz. He had surgery as well. They're on a very similar recovery timeline, 5 to 12 weeks. So not only is your quarterback gone, your offensive line isn't at 100% either. Now, my dad, God bless my dad, is all pumped up. He's like, the Colts need to bring in, guess who? Nick Foles. Oh, yeah, Nick Foles to the rescue, just like what happened previously in Philadelphia. It's a hilarious thought. Nick Foles is currently the 3rd-string quarterback in Chicago behind Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. And Nick Foles has been running his mouth a little bit. Gave a couple big quotes. He said he wants to be traded somewhere that he knows the coaches. He also, like the next day, mentioned Frank Reich specifically and said, hey, I feel better than I did when we went on a Super Bowl run. He's trying to sell himself. Say, hey, come get me. I'll come play. And Nick Foles obviously has a history of filling in for Carson Wentz. It's very interesting. In 2017, he won a Super Bowl in relief of Carson Wentz. Wentz gets hurt during an MVP-type campaign, and they win a Super Bowl without him. And when Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, the offensive coordinator was Frank Reich, who's now the Colts head coach. It makes a lot of sense if you're playing Madden. However, human beings exist and personalities matter and you got to manage people. And even though the coach knows Nick Foles very well, he knows the system, it could work. It probably is actually their best chance to win the first 5 games of the year. My honest thought is this. If you have any hope at all that Carson Wentz will be your franchise quarterback, then you do not want to trade for Nick Foles because it's an old wound. Frank Reich and Carson Wentz are pretty close, and I imagine at some point they even had a conversation. And I'm sure, because he's human, Carson Wentz said, yeah, it hurt a lot when they won a Super Bowl without me and they built a stadium of my backup quarterback. No matter how Christian-y and good you are, that doesn't feel good. It does not feel good when people are calling for your job and want your backup quarterback to replace you. You can't call that guy in again. That's insane. It seemed in Philly that got in Carson Wentz's head. And look, the Colts head coach pounded the table. He said, go get me Carson Wentz. He said to Chris Ballard, the general manager, go. He did not say, go get Nick Foles. He said, go get Carson Wentz. There's a reason for that. They probably could have had an easier time trading for Nick Foles than Carson Wentz, but they didn't. So I would not trade for Nick Foles if I were the Colts. Another fun thought is maybe the Colts could bring back Phillip Rivers. He was their quarterback last year. He retired, kind of got forced out. He said recently he would come back in the season to a quarterback-needy team if anyone needed him. Again, fun thought, but it's not Madden. It's complicated. There are human emotions involved. Phillip Rivers does know the team. He knows the offense. He played there last year. People know him. He knows all the vocabulary for running the team. He's also a big vocal leader and personality. And if Carson Wentz comes back week 5 or 6, how do you transition leadership from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz? That's an impossible task. I don't want that. So the Colts might literally say, we're taking an L for 5 weeks just to keep the team, under the... If they believe in Carson, you can't mess with it. You just got to take the L. It's hard. It's weird. Now, I've said the word weird a lot. This could weirdly help the Indianapolis Colts, Carson Wentz being hurt. There's a stipulation in the Carson Wentz trade from Philly. Remember, the trade to Philly was conditional. If Carson Wentz plays 75% of the offensive snaps for the Colts this year, or if he plays 70% of the snaps, not 75, but 70, and they go to the playoffs, then the Colts have to give Philadelphia a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. If he doesn't meet those 2 requirements, then the Colts only have to give up a second-round pick for Carson Wentz. So if Carson doesn't play very much and misses enough time, the Colts could keep their first-round pick for 2022 and get Carson Wentz for next year. So maybe, I don't know, is it a year of building for the Colts? Maybe their Super Bowl window does close because they start 0-5 and it's brutal. But they get another first-round pick next year, and they can build for 2022. I don't know. I wouldn't. I hate missing. You can never put your plans on pause for a year, but that's an interesting thought. And it does seem like it's going to get really, really close. Week 5 or 6, we're going to go. Like it's gonna. They said in 5 weeks he played. I don't know how to put this. It sounds like it's going to be within a week of 70 snaps on offense for Carson Wentz. So keep your eye on that if he plays week 6 through 17. It's going to be really, really interesting. Will Philadelphia get a first or second round pick? Time will tell. It's an interesting, fun story. My final thought on this whole process is this. I feel so bad for the Colts general manager, Chris Ballard. It's unbelievable what happened to this guy. He's such an incredible general manager. I mean, really, from his philosophy to how he drafts, everything he's done. And he's just had insanely bad luck. Remember, he once hired Josh McDaniels to be his head coach, who then pulled out immediately and went back to the New England Patriots. And then Andrew Luck, his franchise quarterback, quit football, retired early. Like, you take the job because of Andrew Luck, and then Andrew Luck left. Now, Carson Wentz, the quarterback he just traded for, is out injured with a freak thing. A bone in his foot came loose. And the season could be ruined before it even begins. It's just, I feel so bad for Chris Ballard, a guy who so consistently does his job very well and simply cannot catch a break to save his life.